god. He was just the largest, biggest human being I'd ever seen.
They were freakishly tall, unbelievably strong, and sometimes downright terrifying. From the 685-pound Giant Haystacks to Omos,
that is ridiculous,
who moves like a man half his size, these giants defied logic, physics, and their opponents. Get ready to witness the 20 wrestling giants you won't believe were real. Number 20. Giant Gonzalez. When Giant Gonzalez walked into the ring, jaws dropped. Dude stood at an unbelievable 8 feet tall. That's not just tall for wrestling, that's tall for anything. He was the tallest superstar to ever set foot in a WWE ring. Born Jorge Gonzalez in Argentina, he actually started out chasing hoops, not body slams. The Atlanta Hawks drafted him in 1988, thinking he'd be a beast on the court. But due to health issues, the NBA dream didn't pan out. Still, the guy had presence, and wrestling came calling. He first showed up in WCW as El Gigante, locking horns with big names like Ric Flair. But it was in 1993 that he made a monster impact in WWE.
Well, this LA is having problems getting away from the Giant.
As Giant Gonzalez, he debuted at the Royal Rumble and did something wild. He eliminated The Undertaker without even being an official entrant. That move? Savage. After a short run in Japan, he stepped away from the ring in '95. His massive size, while awe-inspiring, also brought some tough health challenges. In his later years, he focused on managing conditions like diabetes and kidney issues while living in Argentina. Gonzalez may not have had the longest career, but he sure made one of the biggest impressions, literally. Number 19. Andre the Giant. What do you call a man so massive, so legendary, that even the biggest names in wrestling seem small next to him? You call him Andre the Giant. Andre René Roussimoff grew up in the French countryside, but there was nothing ordinary about him. Diagnosed with acromegaly, his body never stopped growing, literally. By the time he hit adulthood, he was a staggering 7 feet 4 inches and over 500 pounds of pure, unstoppable presence. He started wrestling in the 60s and quickly became a global sensation. But when he hit WWE in the 70s and 80s, things went next level. They dubbed him the 8th wonder of the world. And trust me, that wasn't just hype. The guy went undefeated for nearly 15 years. Now that's a streak no one wants to mess with. His most iconic moment? WrestleMania 3 in 1987. Over 93,000 fans packed the stadium as he faced off against Hulk Hogan. That body slam? Legendary. The crowd lost their minds. That moment didn't just make history, it became the moment for an entire generation of wrestling fans. But Andre's size came with a heavy price. Everyday life was a challenge. Fitting into planes, cars, even finding furniture that could handle him. Over time, his health took a serious hit, and by the early 90s, he was dealing with major physical strain. Still, no one's ever filled a ring, or our hearts, quite like him. He wasn't just a star, he was the standard. Number 18. Hastax Calhoun. How did a 600-pound man become one of the most beloved wrestlers of all time? Hastax Calhoun, the barefoot, overall-wearing powerhouse who slammed his way into wrestling history. They called him Hastax Calhoun, but before the fame, he was William D. Calhoun from small-town Texas. By the time he hit the wrestling circuit, he was tipping the scales at over 600 pounds, a true giant even among heavyweights. But the real hook wasn't just his size, it was his quiet, kind nature that won fans over everywhere he went. Haystacks rolled into the ring rocking denim overalls, usually with a big old horseshoe around his neck. His look screamed country strong and his matches delivered. From the 1950s through the 70s, he was a top attraction across the country, especially in tag team action. His sheer size made him a natural draw. People couldn't believe their eyes, but it wasn't just about being big. He had charisma, charm, and a way of working the crowd that made folks cheer like crazy. And even though he played the lovable big guy in the ring, the stories outside it say the same. He was a kind, generous soul who treated fans like family. Number 17. Paul White. No one in modern wrestling pulled off the giant role quite like Big Show. Standing 7 feet tall and weighing over 400 pounds, Paul White wasn't just big. He was built to dominate, but his story goes way deeper than size. Paul was born with acromegaly, a rare condition that caused extreme growth from a young age. Doctors intervened early with surgery to slow it down, but he still grew into one of the largest athletes in wrestling history. When he made his debut in WCW as the Giant, it was clear this wasn't just another big man, this was a force the industry hadn't seen before. He showed up in 1995 and won the World Heavyweight Championship in his debut match. Who else does that? Then he jumped to WWE in '99 and became a freaking fixture. Multiple-time world champ, tag champ, hardcore champ. You name it, he's done it. But here's what makes Big Show stand out. He evolved. From a monster heel to a funny giant doing comedy bits with John Cena, this guy stayed relevant across multiple eras. That's tough in any sport, let alone pro wrestling where attention spans are short and gimmicks fade fast. Number 16. The Great Khali. Think wrestling's just a Western game? Then you haven't met the Great Khali. Dilip Singh Rana, better known to fans worldwide as the Great Khali, smashed that idea the second he stepped into a WWE ring. Standing at 7 feet 1 inch and weighing over 350 pounds, this guy brought serious muscle and straight-up intensity from India to the global stage. Before wrestling, Khali served in the Punjab police and was already known for his insane strength. But once he got into the squared circle, he was a whole different beast. He made his WWE debut in 2006 and went after the biggest dog in the yard, The Undertaker. Talk about guts. Khali didn't just show up, he took over. In 2007, he became the first ever Indian-born WWE World Heavyweight Champion. That wasn't just a win, it was a moment that inspired millions back home and across the world. His signature move, the Punjabi plunge, and trust, when he hit it, folks stayed down. There was another side to Khali. On TV, he played the fearsome giant, but off-screen, he was chill, funny, and even made a few appearances in Bollywood. He also founded Continental Wrestling Entertainment in India, where he's been training the next generation of talent. Number 15. Omos. Expect a giant in WWE, and you'll probably picture someone from the past. But Omos is flipping that script in real time. Towering at 7 feet 3 inches, Omos didn't just walk into WWE.
Weighing in at 400 pounds, Omos!
He made an impact the second he showed up. Originally from Lagos, Nigeria, and known off-screen as Tolulope Jordan Omogbehin, he brought serious athletic chops from his college basketball days. His sheer size and natural presence, that's something you can't train. It just is. College hoops at South Florida and Morgan State? Check. But the second WWE spotted him, they saw more than just a baller. They saw a beast, over 400 pounds, yet he moves like a guy half that. It doesn't look real, but it is. And it's unreal to watch. He first showed up as AJ Styles' massive bodyguard, and fans immediately took notice. Then came WrestleMania 37. Omos made his in-ring debut and won the Raw Tag Team Championship. On his first match, talk about making a statement. Since then, he's been clashing with top stars like Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, holding his own like a true main event threat. And with his Nigerian heritage proudly on display, he's repping a whole new generation of international talent. Number 14. Braun Strowman. Sometimes a wrestler shows up and you just know, this guy's different. That's exactly what happened when Braun Strowman hit the WWE scene. Adam Scherr didn't ease his way into WWE. He came crashing in at full force. Standing 6 feet 8 inches and weighing 380 pounds, he brought serious power built from his days as a strongman champ, lifting cars, flipping trucks. That was just another workout for him. So when he hit the ring, it wasn't a surprise that people were shook. He started out as part of the Wyatt family, but it didn't take long for him to break out on his own. And once he did, chaos followed. Whether he was tossing Roman Reigns around like a rag doll or flipping over ambulances, yep, that really happened. Strowman earned the nickname the Monster Among Men. In 2020, he won the Universal Championship at WrestleMania, proving he wasn't just muscle, he could carry the top title too. And let's not forget his wild return in 2022 after a brief WWE release. Fans went nuts, like Goosebumps nuts. Number 13. Giant Silva. No one ever looked at Giant Silva and thought, yeah, he blends in. At 7 feet 2 inches and over 380 pounds, this Brazilian giant stood out no matter where he went. Wrestling rings, MMA cages, even Olympic courts. Before stepping into the wrestling ring, Paulo Cesar da Silva was already making waves as an athlete. Back in 1988, he represented Brazil on the Olympic basketball court. Yep, before the slams and suplexes, he was all about fast breaks and slam dunks. But then came his wild pivot into wrestling in the late 90s. Silva joined WWE, then WWF, as part of the Oddities, a bizarre, over-the-top faction that was more about chaos than championships. Still, with his insane size and lovable energy, fans remembered him. He wasn't your typical big man. He had personality and brought vibes to every match. After WWE, Giant Silva didn't slow down. He got into MMA. Yeah, seriously. He stepped into the ring against some brutal competition in Japan, including legends like Akebono and Choi Hong-man. Sure, he didn't rack up a long list of wins, but let's be real. Just seeing a guy that size in a fight was enough to make jaws drop. Silva's career wasn't just about wins or belts, it was about presence. Wherever he went, eyes followed. Number 12. Robert Maye. Some giants don't just rely on size, they bring presence, mystery, and intimidation. Robert Maye, better known to wrestling fans as Kurgan, was exactly that kind of giant. At 6 feet 10 inches with a tough-as-nails frame and a cold, intense glare, Robert Maye carved his path through the wild world of late 90s WWF. It was the Attitude Era, loud, chaotic, and full of big personalities. But even in all that madness, Kurgan was impossible to miss. At first, he showed up as a member of the Truth Commission, an intense, militant-style faction, but it was his run with the Oddities that fans really remember. Kurgan wasn't just tall, he was unpredictable. One minute he was crushing opponents with his signature Iron Claw, the next he was dancing in the ring with a crew of misfit wrestlers. Total 180, and fans were into it. It was bizarre, it was entertaining, and somehow it worked. But Maye wasn't done after wrestling. He pivoted hard into Hollywood. You've seen him, even if you didn't know it. He threw hands with Robert Downey Jr. in Sherlock Holmes and played a giant warrior in 300. Dude went from body slamming people in the ring to battling heroes on the big screen. That's a glow-up if we've ever seen one. Number 11. Nathan Jones. Why did Nathan Jones's wrestling career feel like a blockbuster that ended too soon? The guy had the look, the size, and the backstory that screamed main event status, but his time in WWE was short, wild, and unforgettable. Nathan Jones, all 6 foot 11 inches and 330 pounds of him, was a standout long before stepping into a wrestling ring. Hailing from Australia, his early life took a hard turn, serving time for armed robbery in one of the country's most notorious prisons. That's where he picked up the name the Colossus of Bogo Road, a title that followed him into the spotlight. After turning his life around, he found his way into powerlifting and then pro wrestling. WWE signed him in the early 2000s, hyping him as this unstoppable force. He was even paired up with The Undertaker at WrestleMania 19, major spotlight. But last-minute changes turned that tag match into a solo bout, with Jones only jumping in at the end. Behind the scenes, things didn't click. Travel issues, inexperience, and frustrations led to him walking away from WWE not long after. Still, his presence left a mark. Nathan didn't disappear. He hit Hollywood hard. You've seen him in Mad Max, Fury Road, Troy, and The Protector, flexing that giant frame like a total action star. Get ready for today's mystic topic. This isn't fantasy. This isn't mythology. This was real. This wrestler so massive, so out of scale with everyone else, it's hard to believe he even existed. But the crowd saw him. They cheered him. They feared him. Was he unbeatable? Maybe not. But unforgettable? Drop your thoughts below and don't forget to mention #MysticTopic. Number 10. Martin Ruane. Who was the real colossus of wrestling? The one who made the arena shake just by showing up. Martin Ruane, famously known as Giant Haystacks, a true titan of the ring. Standing at an imposing 6 feet 11 inches and weighing in at a staggering 685 pounds, Haystacks wasn't just a wrestler, he was a spectacle. His sheer size made him an unforgettable presence in the wrestling world. Born in Camberwell, London in 1946 to Irish parents, Ruane moved to Salford at the age of 3. Before stepping into the wrestling arena, he worked as a laborer and nightclub bouncer. His wrestling journey began in 1967 under the moniker Luke McMasters. In the 1970s, he adopted the ring name Giant Haystacks, drawing inspiration from American wrestler Hastax Calhoun. His partnership and subsequent rivalry with Big Daddy became legendary, captivating audiences across the UK. Haystacks didn't limit himself to the British wrestling scene. He ventured internationally, wrestling in Canada as the Loch Ness Monster, and later appearing in the US with WCW as Loch Ness, even joining the infamous Dungeon of Doom faction. Beyond the ring, Ruane was known for his devout Catholic faith and commitment to family. He married his childhood sweetheart, Rita, at 17, and they had 3 sons together.
Number 9.
Big Cass. How often do you see someone nearly 7 feet tall move like a guy half his size? That's exactly why Big Cass, real name William Morrissey, shocked the wrestling world. Measuring a legit 6 feet 10 inches tall and weighing over 270 pounds, Morrissey isn't just a big dude. He's a skyscraper in the ring. And what's wild is, he's not all size and no skill. This guy can move. Big Cass first made waves in WWE, where fans quickly noticed his mix of height, power, and surprising agility. He didn't just walk into the spotlight, he earned it, pairing up with Enzo Amore and delivering high-impact performances night after night. But things didn't stop there. After a short break and some serious personal battles, he came back strong.
Number 20.
As W. Morrissey and now tearing it up in AEW under the name Big Bill. Talk about a comeback story. It's not just his height that turns heads, it's the way he uses it. Big Cass brings the heat with crushing big boots, dominating chokeslams, and the kind of presence that makes the crowd go silent the moment he steps into the arena.
Number 8.
Kane. Can you imagine staring down a 7-foot-tall masked monster in a packed arena, flames shooting from the stage and the crowd roaring in anticipation? That's Kane, one of the most intimidating giants wrestling has ever seen. Standing a full 7 feet tall and tipping the scale at over 320 pounds. Kane, real name Glenn Jacobs, wasn't just big, he was terrifying. He burst onto the WWE scene in 1997 and instantly made history by ripping the door off Hell in a Cell to confront The Undertaker. From that moment, fans knew this wasn't just another big guy, he was a force. Wearing a red and black mask, Kane became the stuff of wrestling nightmares. His storyline feud with The Undertaker, where they were billed as long-lost brothers, turned into one of WWE's most unforgettable sagas. But it wasn't just The Undertaker. Kane went head-to-head with just about every top star in the business. What's wild is how long he kept it going. From brutal matches to championship wins, from monstrous villain to unlikely comedy tag team partner, Kane showed more range than anyone expected from a man his size. How does someone that big move with that much power and still keep fans guessing for over 2 decades? Outside the ring, Glenn Jacobs made one of the most surprising transitions in wrestling history. He became the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. That's right, the same man who once set rings on fire now sits behind a political desk.
Number 7.
The Undertaker. How do you build a legacy that spans over 30 years in a business where staying relevant for even 5 is a challenge? Just ask The Undertaker, Mark Calloway, who didn't just break the mold. He became the standard. Standing tall at 6 feet 10 inches and weighing over 300 pounds, The Undertaker wasn't your average big man. He blended power with mystique, and his chilling, dead man persona gave fans goosebumps every time that gong hit. From the moment he walked into WWE in 1990, with that slow, eerie strut and eyes rolled back, The Undertaker captured attention like no one else. But behind the character was a performer who could move like a man half his size. He wasn't just a giant, he was an athlete. And let's talk about that WrestleMania streak. 21 wins in a row at WWE's biggest annual event. That kind of run? Unmatched. From giants like Big Show to technical masters like Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker took on the best and came out on top year after year. His feuds were legendary. Kane, Mankind, Triple H, Brock Lesnar, and every match felt like an event. But it wasn't just the size or the storylines, it was the presence. He could silence a crowd just by raising his hand.
Number 6.
Big John Studd. How big do you have to be to stand toe-to-toe with Andre the Giant and not back down? Big John Studd, one of the few men in wrestling history who dared to do just that. Standing at a towering 6 feet 10 inches and weighing a massive 364 pounds, Studd wasn't just another big guy in the ring. He was a major player during wrestling's golden boom of the 1980s. He brought size, power, and a presence that turned every one of his matches into a must-see showdown. What really made fans pay attention? His intense rivalry with Andre the Giant. These weren't just matches, they were spectacles. Their feud was built around one question: who was the true giant of professional wrestling? In 1985, at the very first WrestleMania, Studd and Andre faced off in a now legendary $15,000 body slam challenge. The rules were simple: slam your opponent, win the cash. When Andre lifted Studd off his feet and slammed him to the mat, the crowd erupted. It was one of WrestleMania's first iconic moments. But Studd's career wasn't defined by just one match. He was a fixture in the WWF, battling legends like Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy. He even won the 1989 Royal Rumble, proving he could still dominate the ring years into his career. Big John Studd brought legitimacy to the word giant in pro wrestling. His presence, power, and fearless attitude helped shape the industry during a time when larger-than-life personalities ruled the ring.
Number 5.
Sid Vicious. Ever seen a 6 foot 9 inches powerhouse dominate the ring with nothing but brute force and a killer stare? That was Sid Vicious, real name Sid Vicious, a wrestling giant who didn't just play the part, he lived it. At 6 feet 9 inches and over 300 pounds of pure muscle, Sid wasn't just tall, he was explosive. From the moment he stepped between the ropes, there was no mistaking it. This guy meant business. Whether he went by Sid Vicious, Sid Justice, or Psycho Sid, one thing stayed the same: he brought chaos wherever he went. What set Sid apart wasn't just his size, it was that look in his eyes, that wild intensity. You never knew what he was going to do next, and neither did his opponents. His signature move? The powerbomb. And when he delivered it, you could feel the impact through the floor. Sid's career stretched across major promotions, WWE, WCW, and even ECW. And he didn't just show up, he won. Multiple world championships, major feuds, and headline matches made him a centerpiece of whatever show he was on.
Number 4.
Diesel. How do you mix towering size with cool confidence and still have the entire wrestling world hanging on your every move? That was Diesel, better known as Kevin Nash, one of wrestling's most unforgettable giants. Standing at an impressive 6 feet 10 inches and weighing over 300 pounds, Nash wasn't just big, he was smooth. Whether he was throwing down power bombs or delivering sharp backstage interviews, Nash knew how to control the spotlight, and fans couldn't get enough. In the mid-1990s, he broke out in WWE as Diesel, a no-nonsense enforcer turned world champion. His confidence, deep voice, and powerful presence made him stand out immediately. But it wasn't just the look. He had the skills. Diesel took on legends and held his own in some of the era's biggest matches. Then came the game changer, WCW's New World Order. As one of the founding members of the NWO, Nash helped flip the wrestling world on its head. With the black and white colors and outsider swagger, he became part of one of the most iconic stables in wrestling history. Nash never relied just on size. He brought a different kind of charm to the ring, calm, calculated, and clever. You knew when he stepped in, things were about to get serious.
Number 3.
Big Daddy. Is it sheer power that makes a legend, or is it the way he lit up living rooms and won over a nation? That's the legacy of Big Daddy, also known as Shirley Crabtree. Standing 6 feet 6 inches tall and weighing over 300 pounds, Big Daddy wasn't the tallest or the heaviest giant in wrestling, but he was without a doubt one of the most beloved. With his flashy robes, silver hair, and booming charisma, he wasn't just a wrestler, he was a phenomenon. During the 1970s and 80s, Big Daddy ruled British television. Every Saturday afternoon, fans gathered around the TV to watch him enter the ring, often to thunderous applause. His style was simple but effective, built on brute strength and unmatched showmanship. What made him truly stand out? It wasn't just his frame, it was his energy. He brought excitement and heart to a scene dominated by tough, gritty personalities. Children adored him. Grandparents cheered for him. He was more than an athlete. He was a symbol of fun and pride for an entire generation. In the ring, Big Daddy often faced off with larger foes, including his famous rival, Giant Haystacks. Those battles became the stuff of wrestling legend in the UK, but even when the stakes were high, Big Daddy brought a smile to every match.
Number 2.
Paul Bunyan. What do you get when you mix a 7 foot 7 inches frame, a brief NBA career, a pro wrestling run, and a life-changing turn toward the pulpit? You get Max Palmer, better known to wrestling fans as Paul Bunyan. That's right, at 7 feet 7 inches tall, Palmer wasn't just tall by wrestling standards. He was one of the tallest professional wrestlers in history. When he stepped into the ring, the size difference was jaw-dropping. Most opponents didn't just look smaller, they looked like they were standing next to a building. Originally from Mississippi, Max Palmer's first claim to fame wasn't even in wrestling. It was on the basketball court. He had a short stint in the NBA, using his size to dominate the paint. But once he transitioned to wrestling under the name Paul Bunyan, he became a true spectacle. Can you imagine trying to body slam someone with nearly 8 feet of reach and a wingspan that could block the sun? His matches weren't always technical showcases, but fans came to see something rare, a real-life giant.
Number 1.
Gary Robbins. How often do you come across a man who stood 7 feet 5 inches tall and split his time between body slamming opponents and starring in horror films? That was Gary Robbins, a true Canadian giant in every sense of the word. Known in the wrestling world as the Canadian Giant, Robbins wasn't just massive, he was unforgettable. Born in St. Catharines, Ontario, he brought an almost mythical size to the ring, with a frame that turned heads the moment he stepped through the ropes. But Robbins wasn't just built for wrestling. He had a unique look that grabbed Hollywood's attention, too. He took that towering presence and carved out a niche in film, landing roles in cult classics like Humongous and Wrong Turn. In those movies, just like in the ring, he didn't need many words. His size did the talking. As a wrestler, he competed in the 1980s and 90s, often billed as a monstrous opponent that few dared to challenge. Can you picture trying to wrestle someone who stood over 7 feet tall and weighed in around 380 pounds? For many of his opponents, just getting him off his feet was a victory in itself. Think we missed a giant? Or did one of these shock you the most? Hit the comments, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more wild wrestling stories.